Welcome. I am Reverend Montclair, and this is Monday Church with Reverend Montclair on Halloween, October 31st, 2025, where the monsters are out and about, and the better part of things are that our ancestors, which is what this holiday, these Hallowed Eve, is supposed to be all about, where our ancestors are closer at hand, the ones who came before us, the reason for our being here. There are thousands of ancestors that predeceased us, but set a precedent, a lineage, a ball rolling into the, you could say, the eternal life. And if we believe that life ends with the end of one's life, I'm not so sure that we have a broad enough definition for life. So, living in spirit or living in the body are both profound and I believe real experiences. I am wearing, as you see, a witch hat that I made, and I made several this season just for fun and in acknowledgement of women's silenced voices and power through the centuries because of a desire to have patriarchal society, which is a system that devalues women, that devalues creation, that is challenging to the value of life, actually. So I have determined that it is a responsibility of those of us that have some kind of a voice to share, a conviction of our own worth. And I'm not even referring just to women here, because the patriarchy doesn't just put down women, it certainly does that, but it also puts down humanity because it frames manhood in a very limited um, and reductive way, which makes one not fully human if you live down to those standards. And the standards being strong, cruel, angry, using people, which we can see very clearly in the current government in the United States. Even though there are women in positions to uphold the patriarchy, to uphold this cruel regime, they are not using their wisdom, of which there's a little fly, of which witches were the wisdom keepers. They had knowledge of healing herbs and salves and spices and prayers. So, what later centuries termed spells are prayers. What later centuries demonized um, as as the wrongdoings of these women that were independent, that were powerful, that were knowledgeable. So their knowledge and knowings were demonized to the point where they were targeted, persecuted, tortured, murdered by the thousands. All so that men and their reductive society could be in charge. They had to remove the wisdom keepers, the ones who had the long knowledge of how to live in balance with the earth and with the elements of humanity, even the balance between the masculine and the feminine, the balance between the old and the new, the way forward that also honored our history. So here we are in this society, a small group of our culture is trying to remove our history, to deny the truth, to dehumanize the feminine, to dehumanize the people that have a little bit darker hue on their skin and the ones that are crying for removal. Removal of anybody that is not a racist white motherfucker. So here we are, 2025, and I'm making witch hats. This one is purple, and I made a couple of others. I don't know when my dad started calling me the hat face girl, but at some point he did. Here's another one, denim. And I started wearing hats, I guess, in high school. Not all the time, but with a certain outfit here and there. Even though one of my earliest memories of a gift from him was when we were at a carnival and I saw this giant sombrero with a hot pink ribbon on it, probably with flowers on it as well. And he's like, "What do you want from this vendor? Anything you want," which was a lovely offer. And I said, "That hat. I loved that hat. Giant sombrero, not so different from a witch hat. Conical top, some turned up brim with the ribbon around it." And he got it for me. It's really sweet. I had that for a long time. I used to perch it on top of my bed post, and that's where it stayed for a very long time, my sombrero. So, my hats, I have a small collection that I wear. I don't know that wearing this type of hat is appropriate any other days of the year than today, so I will wear them all for you, of the ones that I recently made. I like this one. This one, um, I intended to be the one I keep and the others to sell. It has a spider on top. I don't know if you could see that. But it doesn't fit that great. It used to, the hat, before I painted it black. And then it shrank. So this is the hat that acknowledges this holiday as being one to honor not only our ancestors, but to recognize that we will become one of them. As we head into the winter season, and it's certainly here now in this area, um, we've had some snow. It's been cold at night in the mid-20s. And winter is a challenging time for a lot of people to make sure that they have enough heat, enough food, enough work. And death is always closer in the winter for the animals, for the people. Roads are dangerous when they're icy. and covered in snow. So this is the one that acknowledges that. And as we celebrate this commercial holiday in the United States with parties and with fun and music and um, dressing up, sometimes as a character that we would like to be, or just something that we'd like to scare others with or amuse, um, you know, think about it. Think about the ancestors, our ancestors, your ancestors, the humans that had to strive to survive in a very different way than we do today. The ancestors prior to capitalism, the ancestors prior to farming systems, even hunter gatherers, the people that knew they had to depend on each other, the ones who knew that cooperation meant survival, the ones who helped each other, the ones who knew how to survive in nature, the ones who passed that knowledge on to generations and generations and generations. Ones who knew we needed to respect the earth and all of the creatures and all of one's community. The ones who recognize that we all have something to contribute of value. That's the ancestors. And the first hat I made was this one, the White Witch, acknowledging that women's knowledge and women's power was not evil. The White Witch working lovecraft, not witchcraft as in the evil sense. That the knowledge that is about the essence you bring to any situation, the knowledge of kindness, the knowledge of the vibration of love and caring and nurturing and healing and belonging and being true to our souls and not getting lost in the fray of image and wealth and capitalism and hoarding money. It's a far cry from where we began to where we are now, and how our values, because of our twisted society, are so skewed. How, when I say our values as a society, capitalism is pretty much essentially an evil tool that is laid on top of a community of humans that, for the most part, are good at heart. It creates false scarcity, it creates false competitions, it does not put the best at the top, it just puts the most ruthless and uncaring at the top. So I felt a need to acknowledge the goodness in the feminine, the divine feminine, the human feminine, even while our society is still abusing and using and not empowering women. Our movies, our commercials, our general rhetoric about the female is that she is less than. not human. I still love to quote that one definition of feminism that states the, what is it, the radical idea that women are human too. And we need to let go of a society that still treats women and children as if they're a property, as if they are to be used for the gratification and edification of some more powerful white man or a different colored man. It is really sad how our societies have structured the path for women, how it was so late in our society that women even were allowed to vote, and now this government wants to take that away as well. Just want women to be barefoot and pregnant in the kitchen. Property, not humans. A function, something to make sure male is doing his best because he has free labor and support. I don't know. Humanity is a crazy, crazy species. And it's sad. Maybe if we didn't even have women, words like women and man, we might be better off. But here we are. And things are changing. And yes, sometimes people like to talk about late stage capitalism because capitalism is going down in flames, you know, in the worst way possible, in the greediest way possible. But so is patriarchy. It's going down in flames. And it doesn't mean it's going to be replaced by a matriarchy. What it may be, because of the centuries of experience of the male domination pattern of rule, which is a top-down rule, which is a pecking order, rather than the way matriarchies work, which is more sharing power rather than power over others. So we'll see. Will we have an egalitarian society that has more respect for differences, more respect for the feminine, more respect for each other, more respect for the internal masculine and feminine of all, more respect for the animals, for the earth? We'll see what comes. But meanwhile, we are in that really difficult transition phase. The transition between what was and what will be, just like the fall, autumn, the season where it's not winter yet, but it's not summer anymore either. It is the dying of one into another. It is the time before the rest, a great sleep. And there's a lot of unrest around right now, a lot of disturbances in any form of peace that much of us have had. And it's amazing at how so many different stages or different phases of this type of disturbance has come around in my lifetime. In recent history, we could just stop, 25 years ago with, September 11th. This country completely changed when those twin towers were taken down by terrorists. We have terrorists in the White House. We have terrorists on the streets, bankrolled by billionaires. The scariest thing this Halloween are the ICE agents roaming around trying to nab innocent people, some of them American citizens, many of them who were doing the right thing. Yeah, it's a scary world. And to be our best, we still have to live in our hearts and look right, left, and in all directions to see if we're safe, to keep dangers at a distance, to be aware of our surroundings, and to be aware of what's inside of us, what kind of feelings and thoughts and fears that we are embodying. Because despite all this chaos, we still have to live our lives the best we can. And despite all this chaos, we don't want to become the chaos. We've got to feel our way into a safe place in our own minds, in our own hearts, in our own lives. And still, we've got to pay attention to the external, but make sure that the terrorism isn't rising from within. So don't embody the fears that this administration wants you to embody. Do not embody the feeling of hopelessness that this administration wants you to have, so you don't fight back. Recognize you are not a victim. You are not prey. Own that you have power. It is really important to acknowledge that you have power and worth. You are worth so much more than any of these horribly damaged and cruel people would ever want you to believe. So we have to make sure that we value ourselves and each other in our lives enough so that we can stand strong and say, no, you will not do that to me, to us. And I'm so proud, heartened by the masses, the 7 million protesters that took to the streets. There are a lot of brave people in this country, and there are more than 7 million more that didn't march that feel the same way. The majority of this country is not for this administration. It is a minority. The toxic narrative that is spewed by the Fox News and conservative pundits is not the majority of this country. But they want you to think it is, so that you surrender, so that you give over your power. You give up. I don't know where it's all going to go in the near future, but we have to be aware and own our power and our value. And that is the most important thing we can do on a daily basis, is to not let them win by default. So happy Halloween! And I hope you have some fun. And I hope you step into your creativity, whether it's a creative mindset that allows you to be your best, or some costume like the ones I've made. I think I'll wear the purple one tonight. Purple is that color that is made by mixing red and blue together. And that may not be something because of the Fox propaganda machine, something that is possible or not. But we can dream, right? And today is one of those days where dreaming and trying on the costume of possibility is part of our culture. So I hope you try on the possibility of a beautiful future, the possibility of being a powerful agent of change, the possibility that love wins, not cruelty, not racism, not sexism, not hate, not reductive thoughts, but expansive ones. That, yeah, this may be part of the process and it's horrible and it's ugly, but maybe love wins. Have a great day. Happy Samhain, as the Celtics called it, All Hallows Eve, and over the next couple of days, the days of the dead, All Saints' Day and All Souls' Day. Remember your ancestors. Whether you've ever met any or not, remember that you are the result of thousands that made it. And you have an opportunity to make it too, to the best of your potential and imagination and presence. May you walk in beauty, with beauty before you, with beauty behind you, with beauty above, with beauty below, with beauty all around you. May you walk into this season of rest, of introspection, of deep wisdom and knowledge. Till next time, I am Reverend Montclair, and this is Monday Church with Reverend Montclair. May you have peace in your heart.